Chapter 95. Complete victory! Inside the time that had been extended by 1,000,000-fold, we faced each other. That was a thought space created by Wisdom King Raphael that dragged Hinata into this space. It succeeded in creating a forced thought link with Hinata's realization, which I could have not predicted. Well, why did it do such a thing? The answer was Shizu-san. It was my request to Rimuru's ability, Wisdom King Raphael. Shizu-san says so, while smiling gently. The Izawa Shizu who was seen by Hinata and I was not the real person. It was the remains of the real person's soul. A fragment of her mind. At the time I absorbed her, her soul was also taken. Thanks to the evolution of Wisdom King Raphael, it seems that the analysis of her soul was a success. Really? Since the time it was still great sage, what has it done secretly and silently behind me? This fellow wasn't the true mastermind Wisdom King Raphael-san? I thought so too, but it might also not be true. Inside the constructed thought space, Hinata was being embraced by Shizu-san. You have done well, Shizu-san said while praising Hinata. That ruthless Hinata had a relieved expression like a child. Seeing such an appearance I felt a strange feeling. Then, Shizu-san's hands plucked the wicked insect that was twirling around Hinata's head, and burned it completely with her flame. That was the curse's crystal that had started Hinata's thought restraint. Wait, hey. Wisdom King Raphael. I also met Yuki, could I also be under thought restraint? Although I didn't think so, I asked to make sure. This Wisdom King Raphael fellow may be doing something without permission, but it was not a negligent fellow. Notification. Master is not under thought restraint. However, the traces of thought guidance were confirmed. Because of the ability's evolution, the effect of thought guidance has disappeared now. The report came casually from Raphael as if it was a trivial matter. This fellow, if there were signs, then the probability that Yuki was the mastermind was high. Even I was not convinced to doubt at that level. This fellow, really. Oh well, perhaps to obtain perfect evidence, it attempted to reproduce Shizu-san's soul. This fellow was too much of a perfectionist, it won't report to me, if the information was not absolutely 100% correct. Since my analysis was imperfect, it will trouble and confuse me, if it reported every trivial information one by one. As if it understood what my intentions were, I don't have any complaints about it. And thus, time passed for a while. Hinata raised her head. Did she calm down? Her expression was calm, her previous tense mood had been eased. Perhaps she was actually a kind child, but she might have acquired her ruthless and brutal tendency to survive through the harsh world. If you think about it, was this what Shizu-san had regrets about? Maybe for this reason, Wisdom King Raphael reproduced Shizu-san's soul, because it wanted an opportunity to exchange information with her. Hinata, I'm sorry for neglecting you. Please live strongly, faith is important, but don't misjudge the reality enemy. Shao-sensei. But, even now, I am still confused. I believe the condition in Holy Empire of Rubarian was not wrong. Hinata. Which is correct? Which is wrong? To decide it one-sidedly is not good. Be flexible, okay? Shizu-san reprimanded her gently. She still wanted to talk more. This woman, even if she was smart, she was too stubborn. She doesn't really lend her ear to any of my words, but there are occasions when she showed her flexible nature. But just as expected, she still didn't listen to my words. I understand. One more time, I will start over. Seeing with these eyes, and deciding with my own heart. Hinata nodded honestly. Was it because Shizu-san's the one who was talking that she became disobedient? Or, because she was released from thought restraint that she became obedient? It was because of the thought restraint. Yes, there's no mistaking it. After all, it's not like I expected anything while having a hard time persuading Hinata. That means, the bad one was all Yuki. Was there a possibility that guy was also manipulated? Could Raphael give me an answer about this? I understand that Kagurasaka Yuki is the mastermind. But, for confirmation, is there a possibility that Yuki is also being manipulated? if I say accurately, by the sorcery king, Kazarim. I pressed the question about the real issue at hand sternly. If it is not inquired now, the core issue may never come out. Yuki is manipulated by sorcery king, Kazarim. How? Wasn't he a former demon lord that was slain by demon lord Leon, right? How can he still be alive? Before this, that person's subordinate Glayman said that demon lord was still alive. He said that person's spiritual body seemed to have revived. Because he had detailed information from the human side, I guessed that he was possessing a human. He is alive? And, he is in a place where he could gather information easily. In the first place, to apply thought restraint on me, it doesn't seem possible for Yuki to do it at the same time when I arrived at this world. Above all else, his intention or objective was unknown. But, if you say that Kazarim is the mastermind, do you know something? To my question, Hinata only replied in silence. This fellow was still not being honest with me. Oh well. What I wanted to hear was not from Hinata. Answer me, Wisdom King Raphael. To my question, I felt relieved as if it was answered. A spiritual body can't use their ability excessively. Additionally, there was a possibility that it could possess a body and move from one to another. Or, there was a possibility that somehow, through the protection of the spiritual body, the soul did not vanish. Kazarim was left roaming around and fused with Yuki when he accidentally came into this world. Although the probability of the former was higher, the communication with Clayman came too slowly. As Clayman said, the contact suddenly came several tens of years ago, until then his movement was a mystery. In case of the latter, the probability was too low, it was something unimaginable, but there was a dying person who reincarnated as a slime, so it can't be said to be completely impossible. Wasn't that was about myself? I let out such a tsukomi. If one can't be said with certainty, Kagazaka Yuki's personality might have already vanished or not. However, there was also a possibility that Yuki's personality could have been swallowed or dominated by Kazarim. Wisdom King Raphael considered various possibilities, but it doesn't want to declare until there was certainty. Since its perfectionist nature could be considered a merit and a demerit. Anyway, currently without any doubt, Yuki is a dangerous opponent. Because of that, we must be cautious. So, I concluded. However, that child was seen as a really normal and kind child. There was no uncomfortable feeling. That was why I worried about him, Hinata. You must never get close to Yuki. I have a very unpleasant premonition. Goodbye, Hinata. Please live and become happy. Shizu-san said so at the end. She then disappeared from Hinata and my sight. She was finally able to tell Hinata what she was worried about, what she regretted had she disappeared. After Shizu-san's disappearance, Hinata kept offering a silent prayer towards that direction. That appearance, I will always remember it. And then, notification. The purpose was achieved. Now releasing the thought link. Immediately after it said that, I felt like I was wrapped in a bright light. Rimuru, thank you about Hinata. As expected, you really are a kind person. This place is very comfortable. I thought I heard Shizu-san's voice. Was it only my imagination? Or, was it an illusion? However, Shizu-san's anxiety certainly disappeared. While sprouting a gentle smile, Shizu-san bowed her head to me. I opened my eyes after the signal from Wisdom King Raphael. The time that had been prolonged 1,000,000-fold was returning to its normal flow, and Thought Link was released. The vicinity was shrouded with scent of the battlefield, and we were glaring at each other with the same stance we had a little while ago. In real time, half-hour had passed since the beginning of the fight. Even though I felt like the fight took place a long time ago, did my one-on-one fight with Hinata start only 30 minutes ago. Though I felt like time had already elapsed for several days, it looked like it never happened. Well then, shall we continue again? Like nothing happened, Hinata drew her sword. Wait a minute. Hey! The last time I had the advantage over you, I stopped. So, why did you nonchalantly ignore it? I don't know. Isn't it common sense to end a battle after delivering the final blow? This bastard. Besides, after my subordinates became like that, I cannot afford to withdraw silently, right? What was she saying? So I thought, and looked around at my surroundings. Impossible, it is already impossible. Anon of Holy Night shouted. Do as you like, you damn monster. It was more enjoyable than I thought. Let's us have a break for a while. Diablo replied. What, rest? Whatever! Damn it. Oh dear, don't say so. Diablo is laughing. Such was exchange between Diablo and the Holy Knights. Go away, you nuisance. Sui reacted. Sui-sama. How mean? For some reason, a redhead and beautiful Oni-san leaned against Sui. How should I put it? What were you doing in the fight? My anger was about to flow forth slightly, you know? I am terribly sorry, Rimuru-sama. I was torturing her, but it seems I made a mistake. Somehow it became like this. Sui apologized to me while he pushed aside the redhead Holy Knight while being annoyed. Although I was puzzled by what kind of torture he had conducted, I was more worried about what kind of torture that could cause such a reaction. I really don't understand what's going on there. You, get away from Sui-sama. Suka reacted. Suka shouts vigorously with loud voice. But the voice doesn't match with her completely exhausted appearance. She looks like she was unable to stand up. If you look around, Kabira, Kabul and also Sui's shadow squad were exhausted and looked like they wanted to collapse. Next to them was Hakoru sighing. You guys will be drilled and tempered by me. Hakoru reacted. So he grumbled. As the words became the final blow, Gabita and the others suddenly collapsed. Next to Gabita and others, the Holy Knights were also similarly worn out and laying around. It seems like an intense battle had unfolded there. But it seemed their battle was not satisfying for Hakoru. Didn't they do their best with Holy Knights as the opponent? I was deceived. My opponent was the strongest one, so cruel. Gabita saying. To end up drawing a hobgoblin as an opponent. That? I am also not in a good position. It can't be. I have tried my best. And yet why? Unanimously, they were complaining about something. Oh well, I have nothing else to say except condolences. Well, this was still okay, even though I still don't understand what happened to Sui's opponent, I will just leave it behind. But I soon caught a glimpse of a grievous scene that made me want to avert my eyes. I think they were Holy Knight who had become playmates of Renga and Xian. Looking by a glance, lying in front of Renga were 8 people that were left with only torn pants. Renga seemed to have carried them with his mouth, while wagging his tail energetically. My master. These people were the best to check my condition after my evolution. Renga said so happily. Although I told him not to do things excessively. Well, at least he didn't kill them. Good for you then. Hey. Can I play more? No, please stop. Those people might be tired already. Is that so? I understand. Was he not playing enough? His tail has hung down, but were they relieved by my words? I think I heard relieved voices from the people under Renga's feet. Yup, it was their voice, all right. If Renga played another round with them, those people will die. Frankly, they were saved. Their faces, with their thankful eyes, were directed towards me. Was it all right for the Holy Knight to do that? I became a bit worried, but it can't be helped, since their opponent was Renga. The main problem was about Xian's opponent's condition. Why? Why did everyone's limbs disappear and their body left to squirm on the ground? I believed that Xian's smug face was a bad premonition. It really was. Xian, what did you do to those people? For the commendation, thank you very much, because they dared to try and oppose Rimuru-sama, I punished them a little. I'm not praising you. You idiot. Although Xian proudly answered, but, no matter how you look at it, it was too overboard. In the beginning, except for my subordinates, I didn't really care about the people who opposed me or trash or something like that. Although I said do your best, no matter how you look at it, you are overdoing it. Don't kill them. Didn't I say that? It's all right. Everyone still lives energetically like this. No. Even if they're alive, they were not in a good condition. Didn't those who lost their arms and legs have a blank and hollow expression? What's more, since they were protecting people, if they lack arms and legs, how could they fight against monsters? She doesn't understand what I want to say, this fellow. Xian, it seems like it's just you that did not obey my order. If you don't have any explanation. Just when I attempted to speak. Oops, I forgot. You guys, be delighted and express your gratitude to Rimuru-sama. While saying such words, in a great haste she collects all the squirming holy knights under her feet in one swoop. And then sprinkles over the full potion, complete recovery medicine. In front of my sight, the holy knight's limbs were growing back. Although I don't understand her ability, she obtained a very terrifying ability, that Xian. Did she manipulate the system's effect? A strange dangerous skill had awakened in this troublesome girl. I cannot stop myself from sympathizing with her opponent. The holy knight that had their arms and legs restored, were sharing their joy with each other. Their joy was great since they weren't turned into a disabled person, which is understandable because of how many daily training they had. Well, it's because of Xian's rampage. From now on I decided to pay more attention to her. Well, as long as Holy Knight's safety was confirmed, so I thought. However, oh well. About Hinata, is it because she saw her subordinates in a miserable condition? You reap what you sow, but this is just an excuse. It couldn't be helped. To set up the fence again, so let's become an enemy, huh? I understand. It can't be helped, I will be your opponent. However, no hard feelings in this. Can you swear if you lose fairly, you will not meddle with this country? I understand. Let's promise, this match is the last. I believe in you, Hinata. Unlike the previous time, the hesitation inside Hinata's eyes was gone. It also didn't look like she was exacting the revenge for the poor treatment of holy knights. Maybe it's because she had properly listened to my words. That's good. You can't stay stubborn all the time. Well then, this was the last match. While holding each one's sword, we closed our distance together. Everyone, including the holy knights, were watching us intently. What is justice? Tedious talk is also not good. In the end, although it was annoying to resort to violence, it was easy to understand. To bet their beliefs, the fight between two people had restarted. However, frankly, there was no possibility for me to lose. After all, there was future attack prediction. Although Holy Attribute can pierce through Covenant King Uriel's absolute defense, I already have eyes that can see all the sword lines. Having such thoughts, I must never think carelessly. In my vision, future attack prediction emitted light for the line of all predicted attacks surprised. What was the meaning of this? To me, who was having such thoughts? Notification. The individual, Sakaguchi Hinata's growth was confirmed. She most likely possesses Hero's Egg. Because of this reason, she has become an existence that surpasses logic, and because of this result, she seems to gain a resistance against result prediction system's ability. In other words, I must avoid using my own power. Why did this happen? Didn't I have the upper hand during the previous positions? To grow in the middle of the fight, although it was wonderful, to happen at this time was too much.
Damn, what the hell does this mean? Seriously, even the gluttonous King Beelzebub vanished in the fight before. While thinking such things, I desperately warded off Hinata's sword. Even though she became Hero's Egg, it seemed to not strengthen her suddenly. That was a relief. Because I can still deal with her somehow. However, I can't win just by evading. There must something that I can do if not. Towards me who is lost in thoughts, notification. There is no problem. Gluttonous King Beelzebub's revival is possible. Huh? Wasn't it annihilated? Notification. Although it was annihilated, it was possible to revive it, there was no problem. What the past tense for? Even so, shouldn't you say that earlier? Shouldn't you? I was wavering between delight and annoyance. Wisdom King Raphael let out an even more explosive statement. Notification. Should Covenant King Uriel's absolute defense be activated? Hey! Why didn't you activate it since a little while ago? To my question, Wisdom King Raphael answered about this matter. I almost reached the limit of my surprise. Anyway, solution. Holy Attribute can pass through Covenant King Uriel's absolute defense. Therefore, there was no point to activate it. So it announced. Even a perfectionist has a limit. During the fight with Hinata before, it said that the movement of Holy Attributes attack was impossible to predict. Based on Raphael's analysis, about why it was possible to penetrate the absolute defense was because its substance was only spirit substance and shadow substance. It could pass because absolute defense's barrier which only protects against magic power. Raphael had reasoned that because it makes small-scale moves at random, prediction of its contact point was impossible. So why was Raphael talking about this while filled with confidence? In other words, it means that Raphael had devised a perfect way to defend against Hinata's attack, right? Solution. Not long ago, the data of Melt/ that annihilated gluttonous King Beelzebub was collected. The result, Holy Sword Technique, Melt/ was acquired. In this case, it was an event not covered in the prediction. It was now possible to percept the law of spirit substance's movement. Wait a minute. Eh? So that means, even if I received a direct hit from Hinata Sword a while ago, there was a possibility that I wouldn't receive any damage? You ignoring me? This bastard. So it means, not answering was the answer, huh? Eh? But wait a minute, even if I received the direct hit from Hinata's Melt/ before, I would not die? Solution. Of course. There was a possibility to receive large damage, but it was also possible to regenerate immediately. Then, why did it seem like you were panicking? Perhaps. It was because you wanted me to eat and analyze Melt/, right? Oh. You still don't want to answer again. This fellow, gradually the response becomes high class. If it is compared to human, it was good at scheming. Even if it had an ego, I could honestly believe it. But, certainly. It's because that was something I had wished for. Can I withstand that attack? Can I also use it? In that moment it understood my wishes and immediately executed it, huh? This ability was no joke. This ability was way too good for someone like me. No. I only exist for Master's sake. You immediately refuted it. Humphrey, thank you. Hereafter, I will be relying on you, partner. But I beg you to not do something secretly. Inside thought acceleration, the exchange between Wisdom King Raphael and I ended instantly. And, invoking Covenant King Uriel's absolute defense, my left hand caught Hinata's sword. Astonished, Hinata opened her eyes wide. That was so. In my life, that was the fastest strike. Facing Hinata, complete victory for me, Hinata. So I announce it, I use Melt/.
A shining flash. A strike flash that even eyes cannot follow. The sword in Hinata's hand was broken, and then the strike stops right before Hinata's neck. The match was decided. Hinata was frozen because of the surprise, but it was my complete defeat, Rimuru. You may do anything you like. So she muttered, and closed her eyes. The fight was over with my victory. Well then. Finally, it seems Hinata has become meek to me. Did she finally agree to listen to my words? Thus, the Holy Knight's attack was completely fended off. Or precisely, I felt it was too one-sided. I think I would deliberately pretend to have never seen it. The cleaning up afterwards will be difficult, but the problem was solved for the time being.